All right, so today we are just going to design our second hero section as said yesterday. Now, so this is the design that we're going to be working on today. Now, so this design is not difficult. It may look complicated, but it's actually not. It's just, you know, a little tweak here and there, and we should arrive at this in our code. Now, so the first thing you need in any project you are working on is insight. What do I mean by insight? Now, the ability to, you know, what do I call it now? Look through the project and have like an insight on what to do and how to do it. Now, so to do this design, we know that we are going to need like a mother div, like a mother um, container here that will house this content and this image here. So it means that the mother div will have two contents, a div that will contain this and another div that will contain this. Now, the mother div will have display of flex. It will have flex direction of row instead of column because the two contents are positioned side by side, right? So instead of column, as we did yesterday, it will be row. Now, by default, flex has a flex direction of row by default, right? So once you do div class hero section 2, then inside hero section 2 you do a div class, main content 1, then another div under it class img container or image container, right? Now, so the div class hero section 2 has by default, if you change the display to flex, by default, the flex direction will be row. Row. So inside this div class main content, we're going to have a div for this text here. Under it, we have another div for this text here. Under it, we have another div for the button here. I mean, simple. Then inside this div, we'll have the image. So this the design already even tells you how to achieve this. You have a div, right? A div, this box here, this header one is more like a div, right? So inside this header one, you have this, excuse me, you have this, no, not this, this is funny. You have this. So this is like one div that house all this content. Then you have another one. This is another div, right? So let's head into our VS Code and achieve this. So I'm just going to create another inside my components folder. I'm going to create another folder. I'm going to call it hero section 2, and inside hero section 2 I'll have a file. I'll call it hero section 2 dot gsx, and then I'm going to have my style as css. Alright, so inside hero section 2, I'm just going to do my sfc, and I'll say hero section 2, hero section 2, and then I'm going to import my style as css. Then I'm going to do my nameless tag. So inside it I will have a mother div. I'll call that one hero hero section, let me use iPhone, hero section 2, and inside hero section 2 I'll have a div for, okay, content, okay, main content, okay, you know what, let's have another div. I'll call it content container, right? A single div that will wrap the two other divs. Then inside this one I'll have div main content, main content container, right? And I'll have another div under it. This one will be img container, img for image, right? So this image, this is the div here. Inside this img container, I'm going to put my image inside image container, right? Then inside my main content, I'm going to have a div and a span. I'm just going to copy this text, build your ideas, and this one falls to the other line. So I'm just going to do br to break that here down. And I'll have another div for this here. Go inside a span for styling sake. And then I'll have a last div that will house my button. I'll say explore design. Simple. So we have a div, right? Hero section 2. Inside hero section 2, we have a div content container, right? The house this text, right? And this image, just one div, right? So inside content container, we have main content container, or let's just do text container. Let's call this one text container. Text container is easy like that. So text container, inside text container, I have my first text, my second, and then the third. Simple. This, and this, right? Then inside the content container, I also have img container for this one here. All right, this should be very clear. So hero section 2 has one content, and that is content container. Content container has two contents, that's text container and img container. Text container has three contents, this, and this. Now, so let me give this also a class, main text container. Then I'll also say subtext container, and then I'll say CTA container, CTA button container. It should be very clear. All right, so let's go inside our CSS and style what we have. All right, so our hero section, say dot hero section, and the display will be flex, right? And really, that's just what we're going to put inside hero section 2. Then I'm just going to change the background color to red. Okay, let me use pink so that you see it. All right, so let's import it inside our app.css. I'm just going to comment out hero section 1, and down here I'm going to put my hero section 2. So, so this is what it looks like currently. So we have the hero section 2 div, then inside it we have um, this. Right, so let's hero section 2. Is it here? So our main container, also style it and say, now with background color, just going to make it red. So you see it red. Now, but in this case, now notice that main content or content container class, the width of the content container is relative to the content that is inside it. Now, what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to give, now, in the last class we did, our padding was inside the mother class, right? But this time, I'm not going to put the padding in the mother class. I'm going to put it inside this content container. Now, you can also put it inside your mother class. I mean, it's fine. It still work that way. But I'm just going to put it here and say padding. Now, notice something. In our design, you see that the text here aligns with the logo here, right? So it means that whatever padding you have here should be what is here, right? Now, so in our navbar 2, in navbar2.css, you can see that our padding is 30px top bottom, then 100px left and right, right? So that's exactly what we are going to do. So we'll just copy the padding and paste here. And let's view it. Right, can you see that now it is aligned? The same space you have here is the same space that you have here. So everything kind of aligned now, right? So this is a major rule in design, right? Your text must align. It's not, well, I see people do it, but it's not what's the word now? It's not professional for you to have a text that is aligned, towards the left and is not aligned with the text in your header. Is not professional. If you look at this design, I mean, this is very professional. You see that the text here, right, the logo here kind of aligned with the text here. Now, it's not good that your your logo is aligned, has a space here, and then your what's it called now, your design is not aligned with your logo. Is really not professional. So ensure that the same space you have here is the same space that you have here. Permit my use of words. Now, so let's continue. Now, so inside our main text container, we have our text container. So I'm just going to style text container inside content container, and I'll say display. Okay, before that, I'm not done with styling the content container. I'm just going to say display here is flex. And you see what happens. Now, so I'm going to change the flex direction. Okay, flex direction is already in row. So let's just leave it like that. Now, so the next thing I want to do is my img container. Now, so inside my, no, I'm going to do my main text container first. Right, so the display is going to be flex, right? And then I'm going to say flex direction. Now look at what happens. So when I change display to flex, everything is on a row by default. So I'm going to change the flex direction to column, then it goes back. Then I'm going to give it a little bit of gap, 1.5 realm. Okay, let me just use pixels. Okay, let's use 1.5 rel, right? So this is what you have, right? So inside main text container, I'm going to have, we have our, inside text container, we have our main text container. So I'm just going to style it and say span. So I'm styling the span, right, inside the main text container. I'm just going to say font size, right? For this, I'm going to be using 4 VW. Okay, let me use 3.5 viewport width, and then I'm going to change the font width to 600, right? Okay, let me use 650, right? And then now I don't like the space between this U and this here. The space is too much. So what the way I can reduce that is by saying line heights. I'm just going to use 1.2, and then can you see that it has reduced, right? So I'm done with that. So the next thing I want to do is to say sub text container, and then I'm also going to style the span inside subtext container. I'm just going to say span, and I'll say font size, not font width, font size. I'm just going to use 1.3 VW for that, and I'm also going to break it here. You, right? The powerful tool that helps you create. I'm going to break that text there to the next line. So after the U, I'm going to have a line break, and then we have something like this, right? I'm also going to change the color to a faded dark ash 555. You won't see it until I remove the background color red, right? So something like this. And then the last thing I want to style is my button. So I'm just going to copy the CTABTN under it and say dot this. I say button, button, and I'm going to say border. Okay, since we've styled it before, I'm just going to copy the styling we have here. Scroll BTN container. Alright, I'm just going to copy this button. Since the same is the same styling, I'm going to paste it here, right? We have something like so. Let's push that button down a little bit. Say margin top inside the content container 4%, right? Now it's down. Let's use 3, and now it's down. So let's remove this background color pink and see how it looks like first. So we have something like this, right? But let's put it back. Now, so the next thing we want to do is to put our image. Now, the first thing we want to do is to, you know, get your image inside this public folder. Your image has to be inside this public folder. So what I did was that I downloaded the image from, you know, this site here. I downloaded the image, right? Copy image or save image as, and then I moved the image from my download into my public folder, and I named it, you know, img1. This is the image here, img1. Now whatever image you are going to be using in your site has to be in your public folder, right? So for loading image, there's this tag we use, img tag, and in between the src you say slash img or forward slash img, the name of your image, dot png. Then you should have something like this, right? Now so let's style our image. It's too big, so let's style it. Now so the first thing we want to do is to style the img container itself. Please just pay attention to what I'm going to be doing here because it might be a little bit complicated, but just pay attention. So inside my content container, I'm just going to do img container. First thing I'm going to do is to give it width of, I'm just going to use 50 viewport width. And I'm going to use height. I'm going to give it height. I'm going to say 60 viewports height. And it should look like this, right? And then I'm going to do, now let me give it background color. See what I'm doing. Background color red. Now, so this is the img container. It has 50 viewport width, 50 viewport height. Now, if you look at our design, the text is on the left, right, and the image is on the right, and it kind of align with the CTA button here. So the way we'll do that is in our content container, I'll just say justify contents space between, right? So what it does is that it's coming. Just give me a minute. All right, so you shouldn't see anything. Okay, I think I tampered with something. Sorry. All right, you shouldn't see anything, but let me quickly do something so you understand what I'm doing here. Now, this content container, I'm just going to return the background color. Let me use yellow so you see it. All right, so this is the content container. Now look at the width of the content container. It starts from here, it ends here, right? So it's responding to the content inside it, right? So if we say um justify item space between, you shouldn't see anything, right? Because the width of this content container, right, respond to the content that is inside it. So to make the changes, take effect, we have to add width to our content container. We're just going to do 100%, and this is it. So that's space is now obvious. So you have your text here and your image here, and then there's a space in between. You still have your padding there, right? So let's style this image and let's make it fit like what we have here. So now notice that this img container has a width of this and height of this. It's basically this red, div, and the image kind of flows out of the div because it is bigger than the div. Now, so we want to make sure that this image fits into this box here. Now, how do we do that? Inside our content container, we're just going to do overflow, right? Hidden. What does overflow hidden do? Now, the image kind of overflows out of the box, right? So when we say overflow hidden, it hides this space that is outside the box. It hides it. Let me put it back. Can you see? So the overflow is now hidden. It's like it tucks it into the the box as we have it. Now, so we're not done. We want to make this image fit into this box. So second thing we're going to do is to, let me just increase the height to like 80 VH, right? This. Now, so the next thing we're going to do is that we're going to style the image itself. We'll say let the width of the image be 100% of the img container. Let the height also be 100%. Now, what you have is something like this. Something like this. Now, if you notice, the image is kind of squashed, it's pressed. Now, the way to fix that is by saying object fix. We say contain, and then it's cool now, right? It's cool. Now, I want to make sure that this image, it's kind of aligned with this CTA button here. In other words, I want to push this image down to this place. So the way I can do that is by saying object position. I'll say right, and it works. So this image is here, kinds of aligned here, and if you look at our design, it didn't exactly align with, what's it called now? With, can you see? There's a space here, a little bit of space here, right? So that's exactly what I have here. Now, so if I remove the background color, you should have something like this here. But let me put it back. Put it back. Right? I want to reduce this space. It's too much. So let me reduce the width. Let me make it like 40. All right, good. So this next thing I want to do is to push this text down, right? Make it aligned with this image. So the way to do that is to come to your content container and say align items center. And you see, your text is now down inside your content container. Align item center kind of pushes it down. So let's increase this text. Let's increase it because if you look at our design, not too much space between the text and anyway, this is a smaller screen, but let's just increase our text a little bit. So inside our main text, let me just use 4.5. All right, good. Let me increase this one to like 1.6. Good. Good, good. Not bad, not bad, not bad. I'll leave the button the way it is. So let me remove all the background colors. Remove this one. Let me remove this one. And we're done with our design. So do this and be ready to present later this evening. We're done. I mean, if you have any questions, I know you will have plenty. We're going to discuss it in the class tonight. All right, good morning. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comment section.